Kanti, the world and the winds. Written by Thanavaro Bhikkhu, December 15, 2023. Read by Panyamon Vihakapiro. When you build your boat of right intention, the gathering stage of meeting the flood, when you hit the white water of negativities, seductive reasoning, wild impulses and doubt, and then the completion stage in which your boat comes through, bigger, deeper, and having jettisoned some unnecessary cargo. This process is obvious with patience or Khanti, forbearance or acceptance. The Buddha famously declared Khanti to be the supreme purification practice. He was playing on the Vedic term tapas, which signifies the taking on an austere or ascetic practice, such as fasting or mortifying the body to cleanse the mind of passions and attachment. But Buddha pointed out not to physical asceticism, which he frequently spoke against, but of the restraint of holding the mind still in the presence of its suffering until it lets go of how it creates that suffering. That is, the mind habitually creates suffering and stress through reacting to, holding on to, or getting caught up with what life throws at us. Unlike all other parami or perfections which contribute to lessening or dismantling suffering, Khanti is to carry the mind through the turbulence of existence, so it no longer shakes, sinks, or lashes out. Buddha used to confront the demon host of Mara. He overcame Mara through practicing Khanti and overcame the force of delusion, anger, fear, aversion, and greed through practicing patience, not through blaming anyone, ignoring those forces, or running away from them. When you are stuck in a traffic jam, anxious for a resolution to a crisis, or beset with migraine, it is good to remember that the Buddha was here too, and found a way to get through. In an age where we are encouraged not to wait, but to go faster, not to accept, but be more demanding, this patience may be the one you most frequently use to stand to the winds. We all have some kinds of physical burdens or limitations, although for most of us it is not that bad. We may just need to wriggle, scratch, switch on some gadget, or take a few pills. But the sufferings that can be relinquished arise depending on causes and conditions, on attitudes and assumptions that things should go our way. Such life should be comfortable, bodies should not experience pain, and the society should be fair and peaceful. We look for conditions to be satisfying, conclusive, reasonable, productive, and so on. However, holistically they aren't. Therefore, cause ourselves and others suffering when we expect them to be so. Of course, we can organize and create supportive conditions such as health, education, and laws, but those conditions have to be constructed and maintained. They are a given norm. It is noticeable that human beings improve the conditions and circumstances of their environment. However, suffering doesn't abate. It causes anxiety and depression, now the number one disease in the developed world. Here we find the widespread pain of being driven to attain material goals that are never fulfilled or fulfilling. Therefore, the anxiety of competitive pressure and loneliness is increased. These emotional pains are worldly winds, the gusts of praise and blame, gain and loss, fame and defame, happiness and unhappiness. These impressions always trigger demand and anxiety wherein we have never saturated. Like winds that blow through the heart at gale force and throw us completely off balance. When I was traveling to assist my mother in teaching meditation, I was famous among students. I was the center of attention. I felt magically empowered. Here I am. It is wonderful. Everybody had to wait for me. Then there is the opposite, being ignored. Who are you? Ask myself. You are just a number in the crowd and nobody care, or I don't count. This is a business of the Guinness Books of Records. While in the other extreme, we can get lonely and depressed if we don't get positive attention, like being ignored. Our lives become miserable. Most of the blues is about that. But if you clamor after fame or get stuck in an impression of having been overlooked, then you go nuts. How powerful the experience of praise and blame can be. We can hunger for compliments or a little clump of approval now and then. Well, you are not too bad if somebody else is getting huge amounts of it, and you are standing by the door, hardly noticed. Then you get jealous. As for blame, how we regard and try to avoid it. We aspire to be like, and we work at it. But still, somebody doesn't like us, or we blame ourselves. We try to do what is right and fair, yet somebody misunderstands or is offended. We finally get blamed. We are careful to be polite. I must remember she is a little sensitive about that. I must not forget this in case I get blamed. I want to make sure that I understand everyone's perspectives and that everyone agrees on this point. Doing this can make you so nervous that you slip up. Then the blame hits you. You are an insensitive, careless pig. How could you say that? Then you are writhing on the point of the arrow of suffering. The Buddha made a very helpful summary of blame. They blame one who remains silent. They blame one who speaks much. They blame one who speaks in moderation. There is no one in this world who is not blamed. Buddha was blamed many times, so when we know it is inevitable, we can just focus on doing our best and be patient. Do not let the mind dig in blame and let it pass through. People deal with or compromise their integrity to be winners. Athletes cheat at games, or people try to fix their bodies with obsessive diet or cosmetic surgery. All this suffering and loss of dignity is for the growth of attention. If you crave that rush of positive attention, feel and rely on it, you will inflate and crash. On the other hand, if you hang on to blame, become a victim, and make yourself out of it, you bury your heart in despair, and if you try to avoid this, you will be running forever. So, you can focus simply on the impression in the heart and not shrug it off, not fight back or not go under. An impression is an impression. Don't rely on it. Don't adopt it. Don't try to avoid it. Instead, understand it for what it is. Then you can see the truth about someone blaming you. Have you made a mistake? Is there something you can learn more from this? You can see the truth about someone praising you. How much goodwill does fame do for you? These wins are there to teach you patience, and focus on how patience feels and value it. Then you can acknowledge specific mistakes you have made without taking on the sense of being a failure. You can experience others' gratitude or praise with a sense of gladness that they have received something of benefit. You don't have to own it.